The Wolf's Twilight, a complete Viking epic for sleep. Close your eyes and journey with me to the windswept shores of Denmark, where the old world dies and a new age struggles to be born. Tonight, we follow 7 souls whose destinies will intertwine. During the final days of the Viking Age, when the old gods grow silent and mortal men must choose between clinging to fading glory or embracing an uncertain future. This is the story of love and loss, courage and betrayal, endings and beginnings that will reshape the northern world forever. Welcome to the Wolf's Twilight, the Silver Tongue's Gambit, Spring, year 983 AD. Rib, Denmark. You are Hakon Silvertongue, the most cunning diplomat in all of Denmark, whose words have prevented more wars than any sword, but whose latest negotiation will require you to betray everything you have ever believed in order to save your people from annihilation. The morning sun streams through the horn windows of your chamber, overlooking Rib's bustling harbor, where merchants from every corner of the known world create a symphony of foreign tongues and clinking coins that has shaped your understanding by the human nature for 30 years. Your reputation for turning enemies into allies through persuasion rather than force has made you invaluable to King Harald Bluetooth, whose expanding realm requires diplomatic finesse to manage relationships with neighboring kingdoms while maintaining internal stability among competing jarls and regional chieftains. The art of negotiation that you have mastered combines intimate knowledge of human psychology with encyclopedic understanding of the political relationships that govern the medieval world, enabling you to find pathways to agreement that serve everyone's interests, while appearing to serve only your patron's needs. The chamber that serves as your private study contains maps charting not only geographic territories, but also the complex networks of alliance and enmity that determine power. Flows throughout northern Europe, these documents, some drawn in your own hand and others acquired through careful cultivation of informants, represent intelligence assets that rival those possessed by any royal court. The morning routine that prepares you for each day's challenges. Pledge memory exercises designed to maintain perfect recall of previous conversations and agreements that may have occurred years in the past. Because diplomatic success often depends on remembering precise details that others have forgotten. Your personal life has been shaped by the demands of your profession, leaving little time for family attachments or romantic relationships that might create conflicts of loyalty or provide enemies with leverage against you. The solitude that characterizes your existence has been broken only by your relationship with Ingrid Ravenhair, daughter of a minor jarl whose political connections are valuable, but whose genuine affection has become more important to you than any strategic alliance. The secret that you have guarded for 3 years involves plans to marry Ingrid despite her father's opposition. But the current crisis threatens to make such personal happiness impossible if duty requires sacrifices that destroy your chances for normal human connection. The morning that will change everything begins with the arrival of a messenger. whose exhausted horse and urgent manner suggest that events are moving faster than normal diplomatic channels can accommodate. The sealed letter bearing King Harald's personal mark describes a crisis that threatens not merely political stability, but the survival of Danish civilization itself. By a confederation of German princes, supported by the expanding power of the Holy Roman Emperor Otto II, has assembled the largest army ever seen in Northern Europe. Their declared intention being the complete conquest and Christianization of all Scandinavian territories, through methods that will leave no room for traditional Norse culture or religious practices. The military situation revealed in Harald's correspondence shows conventional resistance would result in inevitable defeat, because the assembled German forces outnumber the combined strength of all Scandinavian kingdoms by margins that make victory impossible through traditional means. The enemy's superior siege equipment, disciplined infantry formations, and unified command structure represent tactical advantages that cannot be overcome through Viking courage and maritime superiority alone. Your mission involves negotiating from apparent weakness while secretly implementing a strategy that will preserve Danish independence through methods transcending conventional military thinking. The first challenge involves gaining access to German leadership despite their assumption that they hold all advantages in potential negotiations. Your reputation as a skilled diplomat provides some protection, but the enemy's confidence in their military superiority makes them likely to demand unconditional surrender, rather than engaging in meaningful discussions about alternative arrangements. The strategy you develop begins with careful analysis of political dynamics within the German Confederation, seeking weaknesses that can be exploited without triggering immediate military action. Your research reveals that the alliance includes princes with conflicting ambitions, religious authorities with different theological priorities, and military commanders whose personal rivalries could be encouraged to undermine unified action. The preliminary negotiations you undertake involve establishing communication channels with various faction leaders within the German coalition, using intermediaries who can present proposals without immediately revealing the extent of your political sophistication. These indirect contacts enable assessment of true motivations driving each major player, while gathering intelligence about internal conflicts that might provide opportunities for successful manipulation. The religious dimension presents both dangers and opportunities, because the German Confederation's stated goal of Christianizing Scandinavia masks more practical concerns about territorial expansion and economic control. Your analysis of theological disputes within the Christian Church reveals that different factions hold conflicting views about proper methods for converting pagan populations, creating potential avenues for dividing the enemy coalition along doctrinal lines. The economic factors include trade relationships between Scandinavian merchants and various German territories, creating commercial interests that might be threatened by military conquest, but could be preserved through negotiated agreements. that personal relationships you have cultivated include contacts within the Christian Church, the Byzantine Empire, and various European royal courts that could provide assistance in implementing your diplomatic strategy. These allies represent sources of both information and influence that enable operation on multiple levels. Simultaneously, while coordinating complex negotiations spanning international boundaries, the timeline governing your mission allows only months to achieve results that would normally require years of careful preparation. Because the German army will begin its advance with spring weather that makes large-scale military movement possible. Your secret meetings with Ingrid become increasingly precious as the crisis intensifies, because you recognize that duty may require choices that destroy your chances for personal happiness. The stolen hours spent walking through Rib's marketplace or sitting beside the harbor create memories that sustain you through the psychological pressure of managing negotiations that will determine the fate of entire populations. Ingrid's understanding of your work's importance enables her to provide emotional support without demanding promises about the future that you cannot honestly make. While her presence reminds you that some things are worth preserving beyond mere political survival, the breakthrough in negotiations comes through careful cultivation of Pope Sylvester II, whose theological sophistication makes him receptive to arguments about the spiritual value of voluntary conversion compared to forced Christianization. Your correspondence with PayPal representatives reveals that church leadership is concerned about the precedent that military conquest might set for future missionary activities, creating opportunities for alliances that could constrain German military action. The second avenue involves exploiting personal ambitions of various German princes, whose participation in the Confederation is motivated more by desires for territorial expansion than by genuine religious conviction. The intelligence network that provides essential information includes merchants who observe military preparations, clerics who report on theological discussions, and nobles who share gossip about political relationships within the German Confederation. The coordination of these sources requires careful management to prevent discovery, while ensuring that information reaches you quickly enough to influence ongoing negotiations. The psychological pressure of operating under such constraints, while managing relationships with dozens of different political actors, creates stress that threatens to undermine your effectiveness at crucial moments when perfect performance becomes essential. The complexity of your triple life, public diplomat, secret negotiator, and private lover, creates emotional strain that tests your ability to maintain the calm demeanor that diplomatic success requires. Your relationship with Ingrid provides refuge from professional pressures while creating additional anxiety about her safety if your activities are discovered by hostile forces. The letters that you exchange when diplomatic travel separates you contain coded messages about political developments, alongside expressions of love that become increasingly precious as the crisis deepens, and the possibility of failure threatens everything you value. The critical negotiations that begin in early summer take place in the neutral territory of Hamburg, where representatives of various German factions gather under papal auspices to discuss terms for Scandinavian submission. Your preparation for these discussions includes memorizing detailed arguments about the benefits of peaceful conversion, while developing contingency plans for various scenarios that might emerge from complex multi-party negotiations. The opening sessions reveal the extent of German confidence in their military position, while providing opportunities to assess the personalities and motivations of key decision-makers, whose choices will determine whether peaceful solutions remain possible. The theological arguments that prove most effective with papal representatives focus on the precedent that forced conversion might establish for future missionary work, because church doctrine emphasizes the importance of voluntary acceptance, Christ in faith rather than mere compliance with external authority. Your knowledge of canonical law enables you to present sophisticated arguments that appeal to intellectual pride, while addressing genuine concerns about spiritual authenticity that distinguish true conversion from political submission. The economic incentives that influence German princes include detailed analysis of trade relationships that make peaceful coexistence more profitable than military conquest, while your understanding of their individual financial circumstances enables targeted appeals that address specific needs and ambitions. The personal relationships that you cultivate during extended negotiations create human connections that transcend purely political considerations, while providing insights into character traits that influence decision-making processes. The romantic subplot that sustains your emotional equilibrium throughout these demanding negotiations involves exchanged letters with Ingrid that become increasingly passionate as the possibility of permanent separation threatens your relationship. The coded language that you employ to discuss both political and personal matters creates intimacy that transcends physical separation, while providing emotional anchor that prevents complete absorption in diplomatic machinations. Her responses reveal intelligence and political understanding that match your own, while demonstrating loyalty that survives the uncertainties and dangers that surround your mission. The climactic sessions that determine the expedition's success require coordinating religious, political, and economic arguments into comprehensive proposals that satisfy the conflicting demands of military leaders expecting unconditional surrender. Religious authorities requiring evidence of Christian conversion, and political pragmatists seeking profitable arrangements serving their long-term interests. The final agreements that emerge from months of careful negotiation preserve Danish independence while establishing frameworks for peaceful coexistence that will influence European political development for centuries. The personal cost of diplomatic success includes months of separation from Ingrid and the psychological toll of constant deception and manipulation. While the professional achievement provides satisfaction that justifies personal sacrifices, the knowledge that your efforts have prevented catastrophic warfare enables you to return to Denmark with clear conscience, while planning for the personal happiness that duty has finally made possible. The marriage proposal that you make to Ingrid Upon your return, creates the foundation for rebuilding private life after months of consuming public service. While the wedding that follows becomes celebration of both personal love and political peace. The Bone Reader's vision. Summer, year 983 AD, Sacred Grove, near Hedby are Astrid Bone Reader, the last practitioner of the ancient art of divination through skeletal remains, whose ability to commune with the spirits of the dead has made you both feared and sought after throughout the Northland. Your gift enables you to peer beyond the veil, separating the living from the deceased, gathering wisdom from ancestors whose knowledge spans centuries, while bearing the psychological burden of constant contact with mortality and supernatural forces that exist beyond normal human perception. The sacred grove where you practice your art stands isolated from the village of Hideby, surrounded by ancient oaks whose twisted branches create natural cathedral that facilitates communication with the spirit world. The morning mist that rises from the earth creates atmospheric conditions that enhance supernatural sensitivity, while providing concealment for rituals that must remain hidden from those who lack understanding of the forces that govern life and death. Your dwelling consists of a simple hut constructed according to specifications passed down through generations of bone readers. Its interior arranged to channel spiritual energies while protecting against malevolent influences that sometimes respond to calls intended for benevolent spirits. The collection of bones that forms the foundation of your divination practice includes specimens gathered from every type of creature that inhabits the northern world, each category providing different insights into the spiritual forces governing mortal existence. The preparation of these materials requires ceremonies that honor the lives sacrificed for knowledge, while ensuring that their spirits consent to serving prophetic purposes rather than seeking revenge for their deaths. The arrangement of bones, according to ancient patterns, creates configurations that channel divine communication while protecting you from corrupting influences that exist in the spaces between worlds. Your training began in childhood under the guidance of your grandmother, Ira the Farseer, the previous holder of this ancient knowledge, who recognized your sensitivity to supernatural influences before you understood the nature of your gift. The instruction she provided combined practical techniques for bone preparation and arrangement with spiritual disciplines that prepare the mind for contact with forces beyond normal human perception. The isolation that your profession requires has prevented normal social relationships while creating deep connection to the community of the dead, whose wisdom guides your interpretations of patterns revealed through divination. The personal sacrifices that your calling demands include celibacy that preserves spiritual purity while preventing the emotional attachments that could compromise prophetic accuracy. Because the spirits communicate through subtle influences that require complete openness to supernatural guidance. The loneliness that characterizes your existence has been eased only by your friendship with Magnus Songweaver, whose musical abilities complement your prophetic gifts, while his understanding of cosmic harmonies provides intellectual companionship that transcends normal human limitations. The relationship that has developed between you involves deep spiritual connection that satisfies emotional needs while respecting the boundaries that your respective callings require. The morning ritual that prepares you for each day's work includes purification ceremonies that protect your spirit from contamination by malevolent forces, meditation practices that enhance sensitivity to supernatural communication, and offerings that maintain proper relationships with ancestors whose wisdom guides your interpretations. The physical toll that regular contact with the spirit world exacts includes premature aging that reflects the strain of channeling supernatural energies, periodic episodes of possession that temporarily displace normal consciousness, and gradual erosion of connection to ordinary human experience that makes social relationships increasingly difficult to maintain. The reputation that you have earned throughout the region brings requests for guidance from people facing decisions that will determine not only individual fates, but also destinies of entire communities. Because your ability to perceive hidden connections between past, present, and future events provides insights that conventional wisdom cannot offer. The accuracy of your predictions has created both deep respect and significant fear among those who have witnessed your supernatural abilities. While the spiritual authority that accompanies prophetic gifts enables you to influence important decisions, despite your social isolation, the vision that disturbs your morning meditation arrives unbidden with the suddenness and clarity that characterizes truly important spiritual communications. The images flooding your consciousness reveal events spanning multiple generations, showing connections between distant past and immediate future that explain current crises, while predicting consequences extending far beyond contemporary understanding. The spirits that send this vision include not only recent ancestors, but also ancient seers, whose prophetic knowledge enables them to perceive patterns that transcend individual lifetimes. The interpretation of these supernatural communications requires not only technical knowledge of bone-reading techniques, but also deep understanding of historical patterns governing the rise and fall of civilizations. Because spirits often communicate through symbols and metaphors referencing events spanning centuries or millennia, the vision reveals that current political and military crises represent surface manifestations of deeper spiritual transformations that will reshape the relationship between human and divine worlds, requiring responses that transcend conventional political or military thinking. The bones that you cast to verify this troubling vision arrange themselves in patterns, confirming your worst fears while revealing additional details about timing and nature of the approaching catastrophe. The configuration speaks of endings that enable new beginnings, deaths that preserve life, and sacrifices that must be made to ensure survival of essential knowledge through periods of radical transformation. The spiritual forces governing your divination practice include not only benevolent ancestors seeking to protect their descendants, but also darker entities attempting to influence mortal affairs for purposes serving supernatural rather than human interests. The most disturbing aspect account of these supernatural revelations involves recognition that your own actions will play crucial roles in determining how prophesied events unfold. Because the spirits reveal that certain key decisions cannot be made without knowledge that only bone reading can provide. The responsibility for preserving essential wisdom through the approaching transformation creates psychological pressure that tests your commitment to serving as intermediary between worlds of the living and the dead. While the isolation that pure calling requires makes it difficult to share this burden with others who might provide emotional support. The consultation that you must undertake involves contacting the spirit of the legendary seer Sigrid, whose wisdom about navigating cosmic transformations might provide guidance for contemporary crises. The ritual necessary for communicating with such a powerful and ancient spirit requires preparation, consuming days while exposing you to supernatural dangers that could claim your life or sanity. The spiritual warfare that accompanies your work requires constant vigilance while consuming energy that might otherwise be devoted to helpful divination. Because malevolent forces seek to corrupt your interpretations or prevent beneficial prophecies from reaching those who need guidance. The relationship with Magnus provides essential emotional support during this crisis, because his understanding of cosmic harmonies enables him to appreciate the spiritual dimensions of your work, while his musical abilities create protective influences that shield you from supernatural attacks. The conversations that you share during his visits to your grove provide intellectual stimulation that helps maintain sanity despite constant contact with forces that exist beyond normal human comprehension. While his presence reminds you that some human connections transcend the boundaries between different mystical callings, the network of contacts that you maintain includes other practitioners of ancient arts whose abilities complement your bone-reading skills, creating communication systems that enable rapid sharing of supernatural intelligence throughout the region. These relationships provide both emotional support for dealing with professional isolation and practical assistance for addressing challenges requiring multiple types of spiritual intervention. The collaboration with other seers reveals that the approaching transformation affects all forms of mystical practice while requiring unprecedented cooperation between different magical traditions. The warnings that emerge from your divination work include specific information about timing of future military actions, identity of key individuals whose decisions will determine historical outcomes, and location of hidden resources that could influence the balance of power during coming conflicts. The challenge lies in communicating this information to people who can act upon it, while avoiding attention of supernatural forces that prefer to keep such knowledge hidden. The psychological burden of possessing knowledge about future tragedies that cannot be prevented creates moral dilemmas about proper use of supernatural abilities. The final vision that crystallizes your understanding of the approaching crisis reveals that conflicts between German and Scandinavian forces represent only surface layers of deeper struggles between different supernatural factions whose machinations will determine future development of human civilization. This revelation transforms your understanding of current events, while revealing that successful resolution will require cooperation between mortal and immortal allies, working toward common goals that transcend normal political or military considerations. The protection rituals that you must perform with increasing frequency reflect growing attention that malevolent supernatural forces are paying to your activities. Because your success in preventing disasters through prophetic warnings has begun to interfere with cosmic plans serving non-human interests. The spiritual defenses that you maintain require constant renewal while consuming strength that limits your capacity for beneficial prophecy, creating difficult choices about how to allocate limited supernatural resources during critical periods when accurate guidance becomes essential for survival. The love that develops between you and Magnus transcends normal romantic relationships because both of your callings require spiritual disciplines that prevent conventional expressions of affection, while creating bonds based on shared understanding of cosmic forces and mutual respect for mystical gifts that few mortals possess. The ceremonies that you perform together combine musical harmonies with prophetic visions to create supernatural workings that exceed what either could accomplish alone. While the emotional intimacy that grows from this collaboration provides fulfillment that compensates for the isolation that your respective professions require. The Iron Forger's legacy. Early summer, year 983 AD. Forge in the hills above Aruseu. Thorin, Iron Forger, master smith whose innovations in metallurgy have created weapons and tools, surpassing anything previously achieved in the northern world, but whose greatest creation will be a sword embodying the soul of Viking civilization itself, forged during the final days when such weapons might still carry blessings of the old gods. Your workshop in the hills above Argius contains secrets of metalworking stretching back to the dwarven smiths of legend. Techniques passed down through generations of craftsmen who understood that true mastery requires spiritual as well as technical knowledge. The morning fire that you kindle in your forge burns with heat exceeding normal combustion, because the fuel includes charcoal created from sacred woods and the bellows. Channel air blessed by ancient rituals designed to invoke divine assistance in the flames dancing around your work respond to your will in ways suggesting supernatural influence, creating temperatures and atmospheric conditions, enabling metallurgical achievements impossible through purely mundane methods. The iron forming your craft's foundation comes from bog deposits that have been naturally processed by earth spirits over centuries, their molecular structure transformed by geological forces, imbuing the metal with properties transcending conventional understanding of materials science. The techniques distinguishing your work from ordinary blacksmiths include pattern welding methods, creating blade structures resembling flowing water or twisted serpents, folding processes integrating different steel types to achieve optimal combinations of hardness and flexibility, and tempering procedures involving exposure to specific astronomical conditions. during cooling phases that align the metal's properties with cosmic forces. The workshop surrounding you contains tools inherited from your father and grandfather, implements whose surfaces bear the patina of generations of use, while their edges remain sharp enough to cut shadows. Your personal life has been shaped by dedication to your craft, leaving little time for conventional relationships, while creating deep connection to the spiritual forces that govern matter. The love that sustains you comes from your relationship with Ragnhild Flamehead, daughter of a neighboring smith whose understanding of your work's demands enables her to provide emotional support without expecting attention that you cannot spare during critical projects. The marriage that you have planned for after completing your masterwork represents hope for combining professional achievement with personal happiness, while her presence in your life provides motivation for creating something worthy of the legacy you hope to leave. The commission that will define your legacy arrives on a morning when the aurora borealis appears, despite the season being wrong for such displays, carried by a messenger whose cloak bears symbols identifying him as an agent, of the ancient priesthood serving the old gods. The scroll he delivers contains a request requiring every aspect of your abilities, while testing whether the ancient arts can still create miracles in an age when divine power appears to be waning. The weapon you are asked to create must embody the essence of Viking civilization itself, serving as both practical blade and spiritual talisman that will preserve cultural identity through whatever transformations the future might bring. The Ben specifications demand a sword that can cut through any armor while remaining light enough for swift combat, sharp enough to maintain its edge through countless battles, while flexible enough to absorb impacts that would shatter ordinary blades. The spiritual requirements include inscriptions that bind specific supernatural powers to the weapon, while ensuring that these forces serve only wielders who embody the virtues defining Viking civilization. The materials that you gather for this ultimate project include iron from 7 different sacred sites, each deposit contributing unique properties that will enhance specific aspects of the finished weapon's performance. The spiritual preparation required for this work includes fasting that purifies your body while sharpening sensitivity to supernatural influences, meditation that aligns consciousness with cosmic forces governing metallurgy, and ceremonies invoking the blessing of Wayland the Smith, the legendary craftsman whose techniques form the foundation of all superior metalworking. The forging process begins during the winter solstice, when the boundary between worlds grows thin enough to permit direct communication with divine forces that must guide your work. The challenges arising during the forging process include technical difficulties testing the limits of your metallurgical knowledge, while supernatural obstacles threaten to corrupt spiritual energies necessary for achieving transcendent results. The balance between physical and metaphysical elements proves more delicate than any previous project, requiring constant adjustments, demanding perfect coordination between conscious technique and intuitive understanding. The ritual accompanying each hammer blow includes invocations in the ancient tongue that few mortals still remember, while the rhythm of your striking follows patterns mirroring the cosmic music governing planetary movements and seasonal transitions. The relationship with Ragnhild provides essential emotional anchor during this demanding project, because the spiritual intensity required for creating legendary weapons creates psychological pressure that could drive lesser souls to madness. Her understanding of metalworking enables her to assist with technical aspects of the project, while her love provides motivation for maintaining human connections. Despite the supernatural forces seeking to claim your complete attention, the evening conversations that you share provide respite from mystical work, while reminding you that some achievements matter more than professional recognition or artistic immortality. The pattern welding technique employed for this masterwork involves folding different grades of steel together in configurations, creating not merely decorative designs, but functional structures that channel spiritual energy throughout the blade's length. The mathematical precision required for achieving optimal results combines empirical knowledge gained through decades of experience with mystical understanding of sacred geometries governing divine creation. The tempering phase involves exposure to elements existing at the boundary between physical and spiritual worlds, including water from springs never touched by sunlight and air, from caves where ancient ceremonies once summoned divine presence. The testing procedures that you employ to verify the sword's performance include challenges that would destroy ordinary weapons, while revealing whether your creation has achieved the transcendent qualities, distinguishing legendary blades from merely excellent ones. The results of these tests determine not only the weapon's practical effectiveness, but also its capacity for serving as spiritual focus that can preserve cultural memory through historical transitions. The inscriptions that you carve into the blade's surface include runic formulations, binding specific spiritual powers to the weapon, while ensuring that these forces will serve only wielders, embodying the virtues that define Viking civilization. The completion of your masterpiece creates a weapon embodying the soul of Viking civilization, while possessing practical capabilities exceeding any blade previously forged in the northern world. The sword emerging from your final effort represents not merely technical achievement, but spiritual monument that will preserve essential cultural values through whatever transformations the future might bring to Scandinavian society. The ceremony presenting the finished weapon to its destined wielder takes place in a sacred grove where representatives of the old gods manifest to witness the transfer of divine power to mortal hands. The wedding that follows your project's completion unites you with Ragnhild in ceremonies celebrating both personal love and professional achievement, while the forge that you establish together creates the foundation for preserving metallurgical knowledge through apprentices who will carry your techniques to future generations. The children that you hope to raise will inherit both technical skills and spiritual understanding necessary for maintaining the sacred traditions that connect human craftsmanship to divine creativity. The Wave Walker's journey late spring. Year 983 AD. Harbor of Copenhagen. You are Erikson, the Wave Walker, master navigator whose knowledge of ocean currents, wind patterns, and celestial movements has enabled you to guide ships through waters that would defeat lesser sailors, but whose final voyage will take you beyond the boundaries of the known world to discover whether the legends of Western lands hold truth or merely the dreams of desperate men. Your reputation extends from Iceland to Constantinople because vessels under your guidance have completed journeys that seemed impossible, while returning with cargoes that transformed their owners' fortunes. The morning tide that fills Copenhagen's harbor carries your ship toward the open sea, with favorable winds suggesting divine blessing for the expedition ahead, while the crew serving under your command includes sailors whose skills have been tested in every condition that northern oceans can provide. The vessel that will carry you into the unknown combines the finest achievements of Norse shipbuilding with innovative modifications designed specifically for extended voyages beyond the reach of familiar landmarks. The navigation techniques that have made you legendary among seafaring men combine mathematical calculations based on celestial observations with intuitive understanding of the ocean's moods that comes only through decades of intimate contact with forces that dwarf human comprehension. Your personal motivation for undertaking this ultimate voyage includes not only professional desire to complete the greatest navigational achievement in human history, but also romantic attachment to Sigrid the Wave Daughter, a merchant's daughter whose love has provided emotional anchor throughout your career of dangerous voyaging. The relationship that has sustained you through years of separation and uncertainty includes shared dreams of discovering new lands where you could establish a life together, free from the political conflicts and social constraints that limit opportunities in established territories. The charts guiding your course include not only conventional maps showing known coastlines and hazards, but also theoretical projections based on mathematical principles suggesting the existence of lands beyond the western horizon where few mortals have ever ventured. The calculations supporting these speculative routes combine Greek geometric theory with Norse empirical observation, creating navigation science that transcends the limitations of traditional seafaring knowledge. The crew accompanying you includes men whose motivations range from simple adventure-seeking to desperate flight from debts, or enemies that make remaining in familiar territories impossible. The supplies filling your vessel's holds include not only food and water necessary for extended ocean travel, but also trade goods that could establish commercial relationships with whatever peoples you might encounter in distant lands. The selection of these materials reflects careful consideration of weight limitations, while maximizing potential for successful diplomatic contact with unknown civilizations. The spiritual preparation preceding your departure includes offerings to Aegir and Ran, the divine powers governing oceanic forces, while also acknowledging Odin's role as patron of travelers who venture beyond safe boundaries in pursuit of knowledge that expands human understanding. The first week of your voyage passes through familiar waters where your navigation skills require only routine attention, enabling you to focus on crew management and equipment maintenance that will become crucial when you enter regions where no landmarks provide reference points for determining position or direction. The psychological preparation for extended isolation begins during this period, as your sailors adapt to the reality of complete dependence on your guidance, while you adjust to the responsibility of leading them into waters where miscalculation could result in permanent disappearance. The astronomical observations guiding your course as you move beyond known waters require precise measurements taken with instruments combining traditional Norse technology with innovations borrowed from Arab scholars whose mathematical sophistication has revolutionized navigation theory. The accuracy demanded by these calculations allows no margin for error, because mistakes in position finding could result in permanent loss in ocean expanses that dwarf human scale. The weather patterns encountered as you sail westward include phenomena that challenge your understanding of natural processes, suggesting that the ocean's behavior changes as you approach regions where different cosmic forces influence atmospheric and oceanic conditions. The loneliness that characterizes extended ocean voyaging creates psychological challenges that test your emotional resilience, while highlighting the importance of human relationships that provide meaning beyond professional achievement. To the letters that you composed before departure, intended for Sigrid but never sent, express feelings that voyaging life has prevented you from communicating directly, while creating record of emotional experiences that oceanic isolation makes increasingly precious. The crew members' growing dependence on your guidance creates responsibility that both honors your professional skills and burdens your conscience with awareness that their survival depends entirely on your continued competence. The first sign of unknown land appears as changes in bird behavior and water color, indicating proximity to shores beyond the reach of any previous Norse exploration, while cloud formations on the horizon suggest land masses whose extent and nature remain mysterious. The excitement gripping your crew at these discoveries balances against anxiety about what manner of peoples or supernatural forces might inhabit territories that have remained hidden from European knowledge. The approach to this mysterious coastline requires navigation skills transcending conventional seamanship, because waters near shore include hazards existing in no familiar geography, while atmospheric conditions create optical illusions that could lead unwary sailors to destruction on hidden reefs or impossible currents. The exploration of newfound territory reveals landscapes exceeding the most optimistic expectations, while presenting challenges that test every aspect of your crew's survival skills and cultural adaptability. The peoples that you encounter possess technologies and social arrangements differing radically from European norms, creating opportunities for cultural exchange that could transform both civilizations, while raising questions about the proper relationship between exploration and exploitation. The establishment of peaceful contact with indigenous populations requires diplomatic skills complementing your navigation abilities. Because successful cultural interaction demands understanding of psychology and social dynamics, extending far beyond mere seamanship. The months spent establishing trade relationships and learning indigenous languages provide insights into social organizations that challenge European assumptions about civilization and progress, while the knowledge gained about local geography reveals the existence of vast continental masses that dwarf the territories familiar to European explorers. The personal growth that you experience through contact with radically different cultures includes recognition that navigation skills enabling oceanic travel represent only one aspect of the broader human capacity for adaptation and learning that enables survival in diverse environments. The return voyage, carrying news of your discoveries back to the known world, presents navigation challenges equaling those of the original westward journey, while the additional burden of maintaining detailed records and preserving specimens that will convince skeptical audiences demands organizational abilities complementing your seafaring expertise. The successful completion of this round trip establishes your reputation as the greatest navigator in human history, while opening possibilities for future exploration that could reshape global geography. The reunion with Sigrid upon your return creates emotional intensity that compensates for months of separation, while providing motivation for planning the shared future that your discoveries have made possible. The marriage proposal that you make includes offers to establish a new life in the Western lands where your exploration has revealed opportunities for those possessing the courage to pursue them, while the wedding that follows becomes a celebration of both personal love and the expansion of humans' knowledge that your voyaging has achieved. The Shield-Bearer's Sacrifice, Midsummer, year 983 AD, Royal Hall at Roskilde, are Sigrid Shield-Bearer, daughter of Jarls and sister to kings, whose prowess in battle has earned you command of the royal guard that protects Denmark's throne, but whose greatest test will come when duty demands that you choose between personal loyalty and the survival of your people. Your reputation as a warrior who has never known defeat in single combat combines with tactical brilliance that has won victories against overwhelming odds, making you indispensable to rulers who face threats transcending conventional military thinking. The morning assembly of your guard takes place in the courtyard of Roskilde's royal hall, where the warriors serving under your command demonstrate the discipline and skill that have made them the finest fighting force in Northern Europe. The men and women who follow you into battle represent the elite of Danish military strength, their loyalty earned through shared dangers and victories that have forged bonds stronger than those of blood or marriage. The tactical innovations distinguishing your leadership include combined arms techniques coordinating infantry, cavalry, and naval forces according to principles borrowed from Byzantine military theory while adapted to Viking cultural preferences for aggressive, offensive action. Your personal life has been complicated by the demands of military command and the expectations placed upon women of royal blood, creating conflicts between duty to the crown and desires for normal human relationships. The love that has sustained you through years of warfare comes from your secret relationship with Bjorn the Scold, a young poet whose sensitivity to beauty and meaning provides emotional counterpoint to the violence and death that characterize your professional existence. The relationship that has developed between you requires careful concealment, because royal women are expected to marry for political advantage rather than personal affection, while his relatively humble social status makes public acknowledgement of your attachment politically impossible. The intelligence network supporting your military operations includes agents throughout Northern Europe, whose reports provide advance warning of hostile movements while identifying political vulnerabilities that can be exploited through diplomatic as well as military means. The information flowing through these channels enables strategic planning that takes account of enemy capabilities and intentions, while coordinating Danish responses with those of potential allies. The weapons and armor equipping your guard represent the finest achievements of Norse metalworking, including innovations in protective gear, providing superior defense without sacrificing mobility necessary for Viking combat tactics. The training regimen maintaining your guards' effectiveness includes not only physical conditioning and weapons practice, but also intellectual instruction in geography, languages, and diplomatic protocol, enabling effective operation in foreign territories. The comprehensive nature of this preparation reflects your understanding that modern warfare requires capabilities extending far beyond simple fighting skills. While the personal example that you set through participating in all training activities earns respect that enables effective command of warriors who might otherwise resent taking orders from a woman. The morning briefing outlining the current strategic situation reveals developments threatening to overwhelm Danish defensive capabilities. Despite the excellence of your military preparations, because enemy forces assembling beyond your borders include not only superior numbers, but also technological advantages that could neutralize traditional Viking tactical strengths. The intelligence reports paint a picture of approaching catastrophe that will test every aspect of your leadership abilities while forcing choices between different forms of sacrifice that military command sometimes requires. The Council of War, following this briefing, includes not only military commanders, but also diplomatic representatives and economic advisors, whose expertise helps evaluate options ranging from conventional defensive strategies to radical alternatives that could preserve Danish independence through methods transcending traditional warfare. The complexity of these discussions reflects the sophisticated political thinking characterizing medieval statecraft at its highest levels. While your contributions demonstrate mastery of strategic concepts that complement tactical skills earned through battlefield experience, the personal conflicts complicating your military duties include relationships with family members whose political positions may not align with optimal strategic choices, while romantic attachments create emotional vulnerabilities that enemies could exploit if they gain knowledge of your private life. The balance between personal desires and professional obligations becomes increasingly difficult to maintain as the crisis intensifies and decisions carry consequences affecting entire populations. While the secrecy required to protect your relationship with Bjorn creates additional psychological pressure during periods when emotional support becomes essential for maintaining effectiveness. The reconnaissance missions that you personally lead into enemy territory provide first-hand intelligence, power, hostile capabilities, while demonstrating to your troops that their commander shares the dangers that she asks them to face. The information gathered during these hazardous expeditions reveals tactical opportunities that might enable successful resistance against superior forces, while identifying specific threats requiring immediate attention. The physical courage that these missions require combines with intellectual analysis of observed enemy capabilities to create comprehensive understanding of the military challenges that must be addressed through strategic planning. The defensive preparations that you oversee include not only traditional fortifications, but also innovative obstacles and communication systems that multiply the effectiveness of limited forces while providing fallback positions that could enable continued resistance even after enemy breakthrough. The engineering challenges involved in creating these defensive works require collaboration with civilian craftsmen whose skills complement military expertise. While the psychological warfare techniques that you employ include spreading disinformation, bow Danish capabilities while encouraging defections among enemy forces through propaganda, exploiting political divisions within the hostile coalition. The relationship with Bjorn provides essential emotional sustenance during this period of intense pressure because his poetic sensibility enables him to understand the psychological costs of command, while his love provides motivation for preserving the civilization that makes beauty and art possible. The secret meetings that you share in hidden corners of the royal compound create precious moments of intimacy that remind you of values worth fighting for beyond mere political survival. While his verses celebrating your courage provide artistic immortality that transcends the temporary nature of military achievement. The diplomatic initiatives that you coordinate with Hakon Ingrid. Negotiations include military demonstrations designed to support political arguments while providing evidence of Danish resolve that could influence enemy calculations about the costs of continued aggression. The timing and scale of these actions require careful coordination to maximize political impact, while conserving military resources for actual combat. While the intelligence sharing between diplomatic and military operations creates comprehensive and understanding of enemy capabilities and intentions, the personal cost of maintaining your secret relationship during this crisis includes the constant fear that discovery could compromise both your military effectiveness and Bjorn's safety, while the emotional strain of concealing your feelings creates additional pressure during periods when clarity of thought becomes essential for making life and death decisions. The letters that you exchange when military duties require separation contain coded expressions of love alongside tactical information, creating documents that embody both professional competence and personal vulnerability. The crucial decision that will define your legacy involves choosing between a defensive strategy that might preserve your forces while guaranteeing eventual defeat, and an offensive plan that could achieve decisive victory at the cost of catastrophic casualties, including your own likely death. The moral weight of this choice reflects the fundamental tension between personal survival and duty to future generations that characterizes true leadership during existential crises. While the consultation with your senior officers reveals the complexity of military decision-making when conventional tactical wisdom conflicts with strategic necessity, the final preparations for battle include personal letters to family members and loved ones that may never be delivered, while the speech that you deliver to your assembled guard creates emotional bond between leader and followers that transcends normal military discipline. The armor that you don for this ultimate test includes family heirlooms that connect your personal sacrifice to the broader historical struggle for cultural survival, while the weapons that you carry represent both practical tools for combat and symbolic embodiments of the values that make resistance meaningful. The battle strategy that you implement combines traditional Viking offensive tactics with innovative defensive techniques designed to maximize casualties among attacking forces, while preserving Danish strength for prolonged resistance. The coordination required for executing this complex plan tests every aspect of your military training, while demonstrating the leadership qualities that have earned the loyalty of warriors who trust your judgment despite the apparent hopelessness. Both the strategic situation, the romance that sustains your emotional strength. Throughout these final preparations includes Bjorn's promise to preserve your memory through verse that will inspire future generations of Danish warriors, while your own commitment to protecting the civilization that makes love and poetry possible provides motivation that transcends mere personal survival. The knowledge that your sacrifice could enable others to experience the happiness that circumstances have denied you creates meaning that transforms military necessity into spiritual achievement. The Songweaver's Memory, Late Summer, year 983 AD, Sacred Grove, near Uppsala, are Magnus Songweaver, keeper of the ancient melodies that bind the Norse cosmos together, whose voice carries the power to heal spirits and mend the fractures, threatening to tear reality apart during this age of endings. Your knowledge encompasses not only traditional songs preserving cultural memory, but also secret harmonies maintaining the cosmic order itself, making you both artist and mystic whose abilities transcend conventional understanding of music's role in human affairs. The morning practice, preparing your voice for each day's work, includes exercises strengthening not only your physical vocal apparatus, but also your spiritual connection to divine forces inspiring true musical creation. The techniques that you employ combine empirical knowledge of acoustics and breath, control with mystical understanding of sounds, power to influence supernatural as well as natural phenomena. The instrument accompanying your performances represents the culmination of centuries of musical craftsmanship, its construction incorporating resonant woods from sacred groves and metal. Strings forged according to specifications, enhancing the harp's capacity for channeling spiritual energy. The love that has shaped your understanding of beauty and meaning comes from your relationship with Astrid Magnus, whose prophetic gifts complement your musical abilities, while her spiritual wisdom provides intellectual companionship, transcending normal human limitations. The connection that has developed between you involves deep spiritual bond, satisfying emotional needs, while respecting the boundaries that your respective callings require. Because both mystical practices demand sacrifices that prevent conventional push expressions of romantic attachment, while creating intimacy based on shared understanding of cosmic forces. The repertoire that you have mastered includes not only familiar songs entertaining royal courts and village gatherings, but also ancient compositions that few mortals are permitted to learn, because their performance can alter fundamental forces governing reality itself. The responsibility of possessing such dangerous knowledge requires wisdom balancing the power to create beneficial changes against the risk of causing catastrophic disruptions. While the isolation that accompanies mystical abilities makes relationships with others who understand supernatural calling essential for maintaining psychological balance. The training that shaped your abilities began in childhood under the guidance of masters who recognized your sensitivity to cosmic harmonies underlying all existence, while your natural musical talent provided foundation for developing supernatural capabilities, transcending normal artistic achievement. The instruction that you received combined practical vocal training with spiritual disciplines, preparing the mind for contact with divine forces, while the theoretical framework governing your practice recognizes that music represents the fundamental organizing principle of creation itself. The morning vision that disrupts your usual practice routine arrives through musical inspiration rather than visual imagery, as harmonies that you have never heard before suddenly fill your consciousness, with melodies carrying information about future events. The complexity and beauty of these supernatural compositions create both artistic ecstasy and prophetic dread as you recognize their significance for the approaching crisis. While the interpretation of these divinely inspired melodies requires not only musical knowledge, but also understanding of symbolic languages that gods employ when communicating with mortal minds. The crisis that your supernatural musical visions reveal involves disruptions in cosmic harmony, maintaining reality's stability, because violent conflicts and cultural transformations characterizing the current age are creating dissonance, threatening to unravel fundamental patterns, holding the world together. The responsibility for preventing this catastrophic dissolution falls partly on practitioners of musical arts, who understand how sound can restore balance to disturbed cosmic forces, while the ancient songs holding particular power for addressing this crisis include compositions created during previous periods of cosmic instability. The collaboration that you must undertake with Astrid involves coordinating your musical efforts with her divination work to create combined interventions addressing multiple aspects of the approaching cosmic crisis. The synchronization required for these joint efforts demands unprecedented cooperation between different mystical traditions, while maintaining the integrity of each discipline's unique contributions. While the personal dimension of this partnership includes romantic feelings that must be carefully balanced against professional obligations to prevent emotional attachment from compromising mystical effectiveness. The performance obligations defining your daily routine include entertaining royal courts whose political decisions affect the fate of entire populations, while your musical abilities provide opportunities for subtle influence that could encourage beneficial choices without obvious manipulation characterizing conventional political lobbying. The psychological effects of properly performed music create emotional states enhancing wisdom, while reducing fear and anger that often drive poor decision-making. While the healing work occupying much of your time involves using specific melodies to treat spiritual ailments that conventional medicine cannot address. The composition work that you undertake includes creating new songs, preserving essential cultural knowledge while adapting traditional melodies to contemporary circumstances, requiring fresh artistic approaches. The balance between innovation and preservation reflects your understanding that living traditions must evolve to remain vital, while maintaining connection to ancestral wisdom that gives them meaning and power. While the mystical dimensions of your practice include direct communication with divine forces through musical meditation, enabling consciousness to transcend normal limitations. The personal sacrifice that your cosmic responsibilities will demand includes permanent loss of your human voice, because channeling divine harmonies necessary for repairing reality's damaged structure requires vocal techniques exceeding mortal limitations, while consuming the physical apparatus enabling normal speech and song. This price represents the ultimate test of your commitment to serving purposes greater than individual survival or artistic achievement. While the decision to accept this fate involves choosing between personal happiness with Astrid and cosmic duty transcending earthly concerns, the final composition that you create for the ultimate performance combines traditional melodies with innovative harmonies, encoding solutions to contemporary problems while preserving ancient wisdom in forms, remaining accessible to future generations. The musical working resulting from your efforts represents both artistic achievement and spiritual intervention, transcending normal limitations of human creativity. While the ceremony accompanying this performance requires coordination with other practitioners of mystical arts to ensure that combined activities successfully restore harmony to disrupted cosmic forces. The transformation that you undergo during this ultimate musical working includes gaining access to cosmic music existing beyond normal auditory perception while losing capacity for human speech and song, creating permanent change that enables service as intermediary between human and divine realms, while ensuring that cosmic harmony will be maintained regardless of future disruptions. The love that you share with Astrid transcends physical separation by creating spiritual bond that death itself cannot break, while the legacy of your sacrifice provides inspiration for future generations, who will face their own choices between personal happiness and cosmic responsibility. The Blood Price's Reckoning, late summer. Year 983 AD, outskirts of Roskilde. You are Ulf Bloodprice, the most feared enforcer in all of Denmark, whose reputation for collecting debts and settling scores through methods that make strong men weep has created a network of fear extending across 3 kingdoms. Your services are sought by those who require results that cannot be achieved through conventional legal or diplomatic channels. But your latest commission will force you to confront the question of whether any amount of gold can justify destroying by your own soul through acts that transcend mere violence. The morning preparations readying you for each day's work include inspecting weapons designed specifically for psychological as well as physical effect, because your reputation depends not only on ability to inflict pain, but also on creating fear that prevents resistance before violence becomes necessary. The tools of your trade represent sophisticated understanding of humans. Psychology combined with practical knowledge of anatomy, enabling precise application of force for maximum intimidation, while the network of informants and associates enabling your success includes individuals from every level of society, whose cooperation provides intelligence about target locations and personal vulnerabilities. Your personal history includes childhood trauma that shaped your understanding of power and vulnerability, because early experiences with violence taught you that strength represents the only reliable protection against exploitation, while weakness invites predation from those who mistake mercy for opportunity. The reputation that precedes you into every negotiation includes detailed accounts of previous collections, demonstrating both your effectiveness and willingness to employ methods exceeding normal limitations when conventional approaches prove insufficient. While the psychological impact of these stories often enables successful debt recovery without actual violence, the emotional isolation that characterizes your existence has been broken only by your relationship with Thyra the healer, a woman whose compassion provides counterpoint to the brutality defining your professional life, while her medical knowledge enables her to understand the psychological costs of violence without condemning the necessity that circumstances sometimes create. The love that is developed between you represents hope for redemption that motivates efforts to find meaning beyond mere professional success, while her influence gradually changes your understanding of strength to include protection of the innocent rather than exploitation of the vulnerable. The morning summons bringing your most challenging assignment arrives through channels, suggesting involvement by political forces operating at the highest levels of power, while the fee offered for successful completion exceeds anything previously proposed for debt collection services. The magnitude of this compensation indicates that the task involves complications transcending normal business disputes, while requiring capabilities that few individuals possess. While the client's insistence on anonymity creates suspicions about The moral legitimacy of the assignment. The target of this commission proves to be Harald Silvarum, a former Jarl whose political enemies have accused him of treason while seizing his properties through legal maneuvers that left him unable to honor debts incurred during his period of political influence. The challenge lies not in locating Harald, whose current whereabouts are well known, but in extracting payment from someone whose resources have been completely depleted by political persecution and legal confiscation. While the investigation play that you conduct reveals complex web of political intrigue involving corruption at the highest levels of government. The discovery that Harald's financial difficulties result from persecution rather than irresponsibility creates ethical dilemmas. Both the proper role of violence in resolving disputes involving political rather than commercial considerations, while the confrontation that you arrange takes place in the ruins of his former hall, where physical destruction accompanying political downfall provides symbolic context for discussing the relationship between justice and revenge. The conversation that follows challenges your professional assumptions, while revealing human costs of political conflicts affecting innocent families as well as principal participants. The revelation emerging from this encounter involves Harald's possession of information about the conspiracy that destroyed his political career, knowledge that could expose corruption among the same officials who have hired you to collect debts resulting from their own illegal activities. The moral complexity of this situation forces you to choose between completing your assignment as contracted and pursuing justice, serving broader social interests rather than individual client preferences. While the decision involves determining whether professional obligations require blind obedience to client instructions, or whether ethical considerations justify refusing commissions serving corrupt purposes. The investigation that you undertake into your client's background reveals connections to the German Confederation threatening Danish independence, suggesting that your debt collection assignment serves enemy interests while undermining resistance to foreign conquest. The discovery that you have been manipulated into serving hostile forces creates rage, transforming your approach to the entire situation while revealing the extent to which political warfare has corrupted conventional business relationships. While the alliance that you forge with Harald includes sharing information, exposing the conspiracy, while coordinating efforts to gather evidence, restoring his political position. The cooperation between former enemies demonstrates how external threats can create unity among people whose personal conflicts become insignificant compared to collective survival needs. While the evidence-gathering operation that you conduct together requires skills combining your expertise in intimidation and information extraction with Harald's knowledge of political networks and documentary evidence, the success of these efforts depends on careful coordination, maximizing each participant's strengths while minimizing exposure to retaliation from powerful enemies, possessing both motivation and capability for eliminating threats to their schemes. The relationship with Thyra provides essential moral guidance during this transformation from feared enforcer to patriotic hero. because her understanding of human nature enables her to recognize the difference between violence serving justice and brutality serving selfish interests. The conversations that you share about the ethical dimensions of your work help clarify the principles that should guide decisions about using force for legitimate purposes, while her love provides motivation for becoming worthy of respect rather than merely fear. The confrontation with your original clients involves presenting evidence of their treasonous activities while demanding that they withdraw the debt collection contract and restore Harold's confiscated properties as the price for avoiding exposure that would result in execution for collaboration with foreign enemies. The negotiation that follows tests your ability to apply intimidation skills to political rather than commercial disputes, while demonstrating the power of information when properly leveraged against corrupt officials. While the resolution includes not only clearing Harold's debts, but also exposing the broader conspiracy that threatened Danish independence. The personal transformation that accompanies these events includes recognition that true strength lies in serving justice rather than merely pursuing profit, while ethical behavior ultimately provides greater satisfaction than successful completion of morally questionable assignments. The marriage that you propose to Thyra after completing this mission represents commitment to building life based on protection rather than predation, while the new career that you establish focuses on providing security services for legitimate purposes rather than collection work serving questionable clients. The threads of fate converge. Autumn equinox, year 983 AD. Sacred Grove, near Roskilde. The autumn equinox arrives with atmospheric phenomena that even the most skeptical observers cannot ignore. As the aurora borealis dances across the sky in patterns seeming to respond to human events, while unseasonably intense storms create conditions charged with supernatural potential. The convergence of multiple crises during this cosmic alignment suggests that the approaching resolution will determine not only immediate political outcomes, but also the fundamental nature of reality itself for future generations. While the ceremonial gathering taking place in the sacred grove near Roskilde brings together all 7 protagonists, whose individual journeys have prepared them for this moment when personal choices will have cosmic consequences. The diplomatic breakthrough that Hakon Silvertongue achieves reaches its crucial phase as the German Frigg Confederation's patience with peaceful discussions begins to wane, while his success in creating divisions among enemy leaders provides opportunities for achieving favorable outcomes if final agreements can be reached before military action begins. By the delicate balance of concessions and threats, characterizing these ultimate negotiations requires perfect timing and flawless execution, testing every aspect of his legendary diplomatic skills, while the religious dimension of his strategy proves decisive as Pope Sylvester II's intervention constrains German military action while creating theological justifications for peaceful coexistence. The papal decree emerging from these negotiations establishes precedents for voluntary conversion, preserving Scandinavian political independence while acknowledging Christian spiritual authority. while the economic agreements complementing these religious arrangements include trade relationships, making peaceful coexistence more profitable than conquest, while providing Danish markets for German-manufactured goods and Scandinavian raw materials. The commercial treaties resulting from Hakon's negotiations create mutual dependencies, reducing incentives for future military conflicts, while establishing frameworks for ongoing diplomatic cooperation. Astrid, Bone Reader's visions reach their climactic intensity as cosmic forces governing reality prepare for fundamental transformations that will reshape the relationship between supernatural and natural worlds. The bones that she casts during the equinox ceremony arrange themselves in patterns, revealing specific actions required to ensure that these changes serve beneficial rather than destructive purposes, while the spiritual communications that she receives provide detailed instructions for coordinating mortal and divine interventions. The connection between Astrid's supernatural knowledge and practical crises facing Danish society becomes apparent as her visions reveal that successful resolution of political conflicts depends on proper spiritual preparation, aligning human activities with cosmic forces. The prophecy that crystallizes through Astrid's final bone reading session reveals that the approaching transformation will mark the end of the classical Viking age while beginning a new era, preserving essential cultural values within modified social and political structures. The successful navigation of this transition requires leadership combining traditional wisdom with innovative adaptability, demonstrating how ancient virtues can thrive under changed circumstances, while the love between Astrid and Magnus transcends normal romantic relationships because both callings require spiritual disciplines, preventing conventional expressions of affection while creating bonds based on shared understanding of cosmic forces. Thorin Ironforger's masterwork sword achieves completion during the equinox night as spiritual energies governing metallurgy reach peak intensity, while the weapon emerging from his forge embodies the soul of Viking civilization in physical form that will endure regardless of political changes. The blade's supernatural properties include the ability to inspire courage in those who wield it while striking fear into enemies opposing just causes, creating tangible symbol of cultural continuity, while the presentation ceremony delivering the completed sword to its destined wielder takes place in the sacred grove, where representatives of the old gods manifest to witness the transfer of divine power to mortal hands. Prit's spiritual transformation that Thorin undergoes during the sword's completion includes recognition that his life's work has contributed to preserving essential values through historical transition periods, threatening cultural continuity, while the satisfaction accompanying this realization provides compensation for physical costs of supernatural smithing, while ensuring that his knowledge will influence future generations of craftsmen. The marriage with Ragnhild that follows represents integration of professional achievement with personal happiness, while the forge that they establish together creates foundation for preserving metallurgical knowledge through apprentices carrying techniques to future generations. Erikson Wavewalker's return from his westward voyage brings news of discoveries, revolutionizing European understanding of global geography, while providing evidence that Norse navigation skills can overcome any obstacle that oceans might present. The lands that he has found offer opportunities for future settlement, preserving Viking cultural traditions, even if European territories are transformed by foreign conquest. While the charts and specimens that he brings back provide concrete evidence of previously unknown continents whose resources and possibilities exceed the most optimistic expectations. The diplomatic relationships that Erikson has established with indigenous peoples create foundations for future cooperation, benefiting both civilizations. While the knowledge emerging from his exploration demonstrates that the world offers unlimited possibilities for those possessing courage and skill to pursue them. The impact of his discoveries on contemporary politics includes providing alternatives to European territorial conflicts, because existence of vast uninhabited lands reduces pressures for conquest while offering opportunities for expansion, serving everyone's interests. By the reunion with Sigrid, the Wave Daughter, upon his return, creates emotional intensity, compensating for months of separation, while providing motivation for planning shared future that discoveries have made possible. While the marriage proposal includes offers to establish new life in Western lands, where exploration has revealed opportunities for those possessing courage to pursue them. The wedding that follows becomes celebration of both personal love and expansion of human knowledge that voyaging has achieved. Sigrid Shield-Bearer's military preparations reach culmination as intelligence reports confirm that German forces are preparing for spring offensive operations, testing every aspect of Danish defensive capabilities. The strategic plan that she has developed combines conventional military tactics with innovative approaches, exploiting enemy weaknesses while maximizing Danish advantages in terrain and motivation. While the alliance between military and diplomatic effort becomes crucial as she coordinates defensive preparations with Hakon's negotiations to ensure that political agreements are supported by credible military deterrents. The personal growth that Sigrid experiences through leadership during this crisis includes recognition that true strength lies in serving purposes greater than individual ambition, while accepting personal risks for future generations' benefit. While the relationship with Bjorn provides essential emotional sustenance during periods of intense pressure, because his poetic sensibility enables understanding of command's psychological costs, while his love provides motivation for preserving civilization, making beauty and art possible. The final battle that tests her strategic innovations demonstrates that courage and intelligence can overcome superior numbers. When fighting for just causes while defending legitimate authority, while the romance sustaining emotional strength. Throughout these preparations includes Bjorn's promise to preserve her memory through verse, inspiring future generations of Danish warriors. The knowledge that sacrifice could enable others to experience happiness that circumstances have denied creates meaning, transforming military necessity into spiritual achievement. Magnus Songweaver's preparation for cosmic musical intervention reaches final phase as he coordinates efforts with other practitioners of mystical arts to ensure that combined activities will successfully restore harmony to disrupted cosmic forces threatening reality's stability. The complexity of this supernatural coordination requires unprecedented cooperation between different magical traditions, while maintaining integrity of each discipline's unique contributions. While the composition that he creates for this ultimate performance combines traditional melodies with innovative harmonies encoding solutions to contemporary problems, the sacrifice that Magnus accepts as price for channeling divine harmonies includes permanent loss of human voice, while gaining access to cosmic music existing beyond normal auditory perception. While the transformation accompanying this sacrifice enables service as permanent intermediary between human and divine realms, while ensuring that cosmic harmony will be maintained regardless of future disruptions. The love shared with Astrid transcends physical separation by creating spiritual bond that death itself cannot break. Ulf, Blood Price's transformation from feared enforcer to patriotic hero reaches culmination as he leads efforts to expose and eliminate the conspiracy threatening Danish independence through corruption and foreign influence. The skills that made him effective in debt collection prove equally valuable for gathering evidence and intimidating traitors, while his reputation for ruthlessness provides credibility for threats against enemies of the state. While the justice that he administers to conspirators includes not only punishment for past crimes, but also preventive measures eliminating future threats to Danish sovereignty. The personal transformation accompanying these events includes recognition that true strength lies in serving justice rather than merely pursuing profit, while ethical behavior ultimately provides greater satisfaction than successful completion of morally questionable assignments. The marriage that he proposes to Thyra represents commitment to building life based on protection rather than predation, while the new career focusing on legitimate security services demonstrates redemption achieved through moral choice rather than external circumstances. The final convergence, winter solstice, year 983 AD. Sacred Grove at Roskilde. The winter solstice brings the culmination of all converging forces as political, military, spiritual, and cosmic elements align to determine the future of Viking civilization and the fundamental nature of reality itself. The ceremonial gathering in the sacred grove near Roskilde creates a nexus where individual achievements merge into collective transformation that will influence the development of human civilization for centuries, while providing examples of what mortals can achieve when dedicating themselves to serving purposes greater than personal survival. The diplomatic resolution that Hakon accomplishes includes agreements preserving Danish independence while establishing frameworks for peaceful coexistence between different cultural and religious traditions, while the treaties emerging from his negotiations create precedents for international law influencing European political development for centuries, while demonstrating that sophisticated diplomacy can achieve results that military force alone cannot accomplish. The personal satisfaction that accompanies professional success includes marriage to Ingrid, that creates foundation for rebuilding private life after months of consuming public service. The spiritual healing that Magnus performs through his cosmic musical intervention successfully restores harmony to disrupted forces, threatening reality's stability, while creating permanent improvements in the relationship between human and divine realms. The sacrifice of his individual voice enables eternal service as guardian of cosmic order, while ensuring that future generations will inherit a more stable and harmonious universe. While the love transcending physical form maintains connection with Astrid that death cannot break. The military victory that Sigrid achieves through innovative tactics and strategic brilliance demonstrates that courage and intelligence can overcome superior numbers when fighting for just causes while defending legitimate authority. While the preservation of Danish independence through military success validates sacrifices made by all participants, while creating security enabling future cultural and political development. The romance with Bjorn provides inspiration for artistic works celebrating heroism, while preserving memory of those who chose duty over safety. The cosmic weapon that Thorin has created provides both practical military advantage and spiritual talisman, embodying essential values of Viking civilization in permanent form. While the sword's supernatural properties ensure that these cultural principles will survive, regardless of political changes, while inspiring future generations to maintain highest standards of courage, honor, and wisdom. The marriage with Ragnhild integrates professional achievement with personal happiness while establishing foundation for preserving metallurgical knowledge. The geographical discoveries that Erikson has achieved provide alternatives to European territorial conflicts while demonstrating that human potential extends far beyond conventional limitations when guided by courage and skill. While the knowledge that his voyages have generated offers hope for future expansion, preserving cultural traditions even under changed political circumstances. The marriage with Sigrid creates partnership based on shared dreams of exploration and discovery. The prophetic wisdom that Astrid has provided enables all participants to understand their roles within larger patterns of cause and effect, extending beyond individual circumstances to encompass cosmic processes governing historical development. While her spiritual guidance ensures that mortal actions align with divine purposes, while preserving free will within frameworks serving universal harmony. The love transcending physical form demonstrates that spiritual bonds can overcome any obstacle, including death itself. The justice that Ulf has administered eliminates corruption, threatening national sovereignty, while demonstrating that individual transformation can serve collective benefit when personal abilities are directed toward worthy purposes. While his evolution from feared enforcer to patriotic hero illustrates how even unlikely individuals can contribute to historical achievements when circumstances provide opportunities for moral growth. The marriage with Thyra represents commitment to protection rather than predation. The new dawn, spring, year 984 AD, throughout Denmark. The resolution emerging from this convergence of crises includes both immediate solutions to contemporary problems and long-term transformations, influencing cultural development for generations. While the successful preservation of Danish independence through diplomatic, military, and spiritual means demonstrates that traditional values can survive in modified forms, adapting to changing circumstances while maintaining essential cultural continuity. The technological innovations emerging from this period of intense creativity include advances in metallurgy, navigation, and military science, positioning Scandinavian civilization for continued cultural development despite external pressures. While the spiritual knowledge gained through supernatural interventions provides wisdom guiding future generations through whatever challenges they may encounter. The artistic achievements represented by Magnus's cosmic musical composition and Thorin's masterwork sword create permanent monuments to heights that human creativity can achieve when guided by purposes greater than individual ambition. The geographical expansion made possible by Erikson's discoveries provides outlets for population growth and cultural development, reducing pressures for territorial conflict, while offering opportunities for preserving traditional ways of life in new environments. While the diplomatic relationships established with indigenous peoples create foundations for mutually beneficial cooperation that could transform global civilization. The political frameworks established through Hakon's negotiations create precedents for international cooperation, transcending traditional limitations of tribal and national loyalty, while preserving cultural autonomy within larger systems of peaceful coexistence. The marriages that unite the protagonists with their chosen partners represent personal happiness achieved through service to greater purposes, while the children born from these unions will inherit both the wisdom gained through their parents' struggles and the improved world that their sacrifices have created. The communities that benefit from their efforts demonstrate how individual excellence can contribute to collective welfare when guided by ethical principles, transcending selfish interests. The spiritual transformations occurring through supernatural interventions establish permanent improvements in the relationship between human and divine realms, while ensuring that cosmic harmony will be maintained despite future disruptions. While the knowledge gained through these experiences provides wisdom guiding humanity through whatever challenges the future may bring. The cycle of death and renewal characterizing this period of transformation demonstrates that apparent endings often contain seeds of new beginnings when guided by courage, wisdom, and commitment to purposes greater than individual survival. The legacy that these 7 souls have created through their choices will influence the development of human civilization for centuries, while providing examples of what individuals can achieve when they dedicate themselves to serving the common good. While the spring sunrise illuminating the sacred grove where final ceremonies take place symbolizes the new age beginning. an era preserving essential virtues of Viking civilization, while adapting them to changed circumstances, requiring innovative approaches to ancient challenges. The light filling the sky carries the promise of continued human achievement, guided by wisdom emerging from successfully navigating periods of radical transformation, while the voices of ancestors whisper encouragement across centuries, reminding each generation that courage, wisdom, and love provide the only reliable guides through whatever storms may come. The wolf's twilight ends not in darkness, but in dawn of a new age, where ancient wisdom guides modern challenges and the best of the past provides foundation for an even better future. Sleep now, and dream of northern lights dancing over peaceful fjords, where songs of returning whales mingle with human voices raised in celebration of survival and renewal. Dream of the eternal cycle that transforms endings into beginnings, through the courage of those who choose service over safety, wisdom over wealth, and love over fear. Dream of the dawn that always follows the darkest night for those who maintain faith in the ultimate goodness of existence and the unlimited potential lying within every human soul.